it before the Illuminati, right?
Yeah,
This stuff
exactly.
that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
Oh,
Now,
the origins of the Illuminati is kind of murky. We don't really know exactly when that came about, but we know sort of roughly that it was a lineage of high knowledge that was passed down from the prehistory basically.
Oh, but we
Some people
haven't had
believe, including the
anything.
Freemasons, believe that it actually came from Atlantis, so like time before history,
Oh,
where it was
that
gifted to
that
us by the
Atlantis, the
gods.
mythical place.
now,
Well,
th-
it's mythical now, but back in ancient Egyptian times, it was a historical fact. Like
Yeah,
Plato
no, that's what
doesn't
me and
speak of
Roger were
it as a
talking
myth;
about the
he
other
speaks
let's
about
see.
it as a historical fact. For sure.
Yeah, that it was a fact because we saw it on the map underneath the water. We actually did after you left, and we did the research, and we not real a whole bunch of extensive research, but we pulled the map out and we looked just to see, and we could actually see the shape of Atlantis underneath the water, and we were elaborating on the fact that it was obviously true, but might have just been obvious, like it says the
Well,
story,
even
pushed
even
underwater
that
by
though,
certain
even
type of
that, okay,
vessels.
the location where we seen this was exactly where it should have been on the ancient maps too. See, and
Right.
that's what's so messed up about it. You know, I mean, it's like if you look at this water and you look at this from freaking technology that they didn't have back during the time these maps were made, you could clearly tell that there was landmass there. Okay, so that's one thing that stuck out to both of us. You know what I mean? That was an interesting part of the whole deal because like you can clearly see that there was something there.
I was just clarifying to make sure that I was understanding because I mean, my limited knowledge sometimes it just makes me make sure that I'm saying or identifying with the right things, and I don't like to kind of be in a haze. So I ask questions just to make sure that the answer that I thought was correct is either wrong, is either corrected, or it is already correct. So it's more of a Mr. Robot came on here, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago. And that's when we started doing research after he wasn't around anymore. And we were doing our own research based off of the subject that we were discussing in regards. And I was just asking him, is he referring to what, because I don't want to go into, well, are you referring to what is commonly known as something that is mythical but is actually reality? Nah, the mythical place Atlantis, oh, well, we were thinking, well, we already got past that. Yeah, we know it was actually there. I was just asking you because not everyone is as smart as everyone else. So anyone that's listening may understand what we refer to, like just talking to the common person so that they could be brought up to speed type of thing, how they would identify what Atlantis is and the best way for us to be able to, and then to elaborate on the fact that it is a real place was more so where I was going with that direction because we're all
Thanks,
aware
Karma. I
here
appreciate
that
that.
it's real.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
no, we understand.
So,
Thank you.
you want to
so
elaborate
we
on
were
that?
talking about secret societies before. I've got like a little section here to read quickly. This is from one of my favorite researchers in the field. His name was William Cooper. And I don't know if you guys have heard about him. He used to work in naval intelligence in the USA in the 60s and 70s. And he basically did what we're doing. He started his own renegade radio station in the US on AM radio, and basically just he saved all this classified information because he was one of the guys that would encrypt the data before it got sent, classified data across the ocean. And he kept all this classified information and found out all this stuff that we're about to talk about. And he just blurted it out over the radio. And he actually predicted 9/11 like 3 weeks before it happened and said they were going to blame it on Osama bin Laden. A week later, the cops came and shot him in his own front yard. And he is a total patriot and like fearless researcher. He was epic, this guy. So anyway, he did this little section on secret societies. I'll just quickly read to you if that's okay.
All right.
The 1953 report of the California Senate Investigation Committee on Education stated that so-called modern communism is apparently the same hypocritical world conspiracy to destroy civilization that was founded by the Illuminati, and that raised its head in our colonies here in the critical period before the adoption of our Constitution. The California Senate understood that communism is the work of the Illuminati. They failed to realize that the Council of Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission are also the work of the Illuminati. You must begin to think correctly. The enemy is not communism, it is Illuminism, which is really hidden Luciferianism. The communists are not going to be much happier with the New World Order than we are. Yeah. I hope to show you that most modern secret societies, and especially those that practice degrees of initiation, and that is the key, are really one society with one purpose. You may call them whatever you wish: the Order of the Quest, the Jason Society, the Roshanaya, the Kabbalah, the Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of Columbus, the Jesuits, the Masons, the Ancient and Mystical Order of the Rose and Cross, the Illuminati, the Nazi Party, the Communist Party, the executive members of the Council of Foreign Relations, the group, the Brotherhood of the Dragon, the Rosicrucians, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Open Friendly Secret Society, the Vatican, the Russell Trust, the Skull and Bones, the Scroll and Key, the Order. They are all the same and all work towards the same ultimate goal, which is the New World Order.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
That's pretty good. Now, the thing that really sticks out to me on what you just read right there was, first of all, California, okay? You go to California and you live in California, you understand that they're in their own little universe, okay? Like, living here in Illinois, I'm a part of the United States, okay? But like when I was living in California, everybody was about California. You know what I mean? It was always nobody was better than California kind of atmosphere. And you kind of got that sense when you were there. So for me personally, when it comes to that, you know, I mean, I grew up in freaking parts of Illinois, Florida, Georgia, you know, and I never felt that kind of atmosphere until I moved to California.
I agree. I felt it too. There's a certain freedom there, hey? Like a very interesting vibe.
The thing about that is it's like you also have to kind of be careful with that, because like there's a lot of negative things when it comes to California too, you know what I mean? Like you got that freedom like you were talking about, but at the same time you've got that kind of underbelly, you know what I mean? That thing that's just digging down below that you don't know anything about. Like
true. But can't you say the same about every place like that?
The only thing I can say that's close to that is New York. New York has that same kind of mentality. And I've only gotten a taste of New York. I actually lived in California for a little while, so I'm more familiar with it, you know. Now when it
the one thing I did notice was the willful ignorance of the people. You know, they have all these like deep problems around them, but they just so focused on their own agenda of making money or doing whatever, and they just ignore all these problems.
Yeah,
it kind of blew my mind a little bit.
And they're all, you know, supposed to be environmentally conscious, but they don't frickin' allow their wildlife to or their national wildlife people to frickin' go out and burn the dead frickin' around the woods, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden you get this big news broadcast that there's a wildfire burning through freaking California. Well, if you'd make it legal to where the forest people can go out there and freaking clear out the dead wood and everything, then that wouldn't be an issue. You know what I'm saying?
There's also a conspiracy theory around that those fires were intentionally lit with the same kind of technology that was in Maui, you know, which is worth looking into as well. Because I think that is now happening in Australia too, where I'm from, where they're burning down certain places just so that corporations can come in and buy up the land. Because when it's a nature reserve, no one's allowed to buy the land. But after it's been burnt, they re-regulate it, right? Which is a weird thing. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but the one thing I noticed in California, I don't know if it's US-wide or whatever, but it was how they treated the homeless was pretty shocking to me. Like, just how many people, normal people, just end up on the street and have nowhere to go. It was crazy. And they wouldn't let them sleep anywhere. They just turn on the sprinklers at nighttime so you can't sleep anywhere.
There she is. Anyway, she's back.
That's beside the point now. But what's interesting to me about that part I just read is this was in 1953. The California Senate Investigation Committee basically mentioned the Illuminati. They were aware of this stuff in the public eye back then, you know, and now it's become like a myth. But back then it was a congressional fact.
That's why I mentioned California. I mean, right there. You're right. And
it's interesting how like short our memories are, right? Like our parents might remember, or our grandparents might remember that stuff, but the modern kids, people our age, don't remember this stuff because we don't look back at this boring old political stuff, you know. Everyone's interested in other parts of history, but like so quickly things can go from fact to legend to mythology, you know?
Yeah.
If we don't keep reminding ourselves of it.
Now, Manly P. Hall, I have heard of him, and I actually listened to his old tapes that they transcribed over to YouTube, and they've got it on there so that if anybody wants to know, they can
He
find it
is
on
so good, so good. He's my favorite storyteller of all time. Just the way he words things is amazing. I get goosebumps when you just mention his name.
Yeah. He's an amazing guy. He mentions things too that a lot of people don't realize that went on. Like when it comes to like the Order of the Golden Fleece, you know. I mean, most people aren't even aware of what that was about, and they were around. They were around all the way up.
His knowledge is more in depth than you can get from just plain research because he had access to all of the Masonic libraries and stuff like that. And even the Masons don't go looking at that stuff, but he dived deep into all of their ancient, like, secret knowledge and basically, you know, did lectures about it in public, which is rare to find, basically.
Yeah. So, for me, you know, I've pretty much told all you guys how I feel about it, you know. I've done the research, and I don't like to make, you know, statements that I don't know for sure.